What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm C.
I'm B.
And today we're gonna be reacting to Peterson and Joe Peterson and Joe Rogan speaking on a Vice interview that Peterson did about makeup in the workplace. Now, I'm not sure if we already did a reaction to that interview about him doing an interview. I'm saying interview a lot. About him doing the interview with the guy talking about makeup.
I don't remember him ever talking about makeup, so I don't think we did. We might be going backwards here, so
Yeah,
we might.
So maybe
we might do
that reaction later on if we haven't done it before. I don't know if we did, but
I like Joe Rogan's take on things. So I'd be interested into hearing his point of view along with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, so kind of going backwards a little bit, but hey, what you gonna do?
We're weirdos like that, so.
Speak for yourself.
I'm a weirdo like that, so. Anywho, let us know what you think about this video in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified for our upcoming videos.
Let's begin.
Let's go.
I don't know why I did this.
Because you're trying to be cool.
Is that cool?
No, but...
I didn't think it was cool. I just did it. Right,
yeah. One of the conversations that you had that I found to be shocking, and it started a trend of misquoting and misrepresenting you, was you did an interview with Vice, and they use a snippet of one of the things you said and tried to pretend that you had made these very curt statements.
They always do that. I'm not surprised.
I love how he's like laughing in the background.
He's like, yeah, it happens a lot.
Of one of the things you said and tried to pretend that you had made these very curt statements. And one of them was...
Well, he was annoying, so I got kind of curt, and that was probably my strategic error. Makeup? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, makeup and the way people dress, you know, and...
Yeah, well, I was trying to draw... First of all...
How was he annoying?
He knew everything. He knew everything.
Way?
Well, it was just in his attitude. You know, it was...
So
it
he was challenging you. He wanted this from the very beginning.
This was him.
Arms crossed.
Right. Eyes up. It's like A, I know more than you, and B, you're probably that reprehensible person that I've thought about, and it's my job to reveal you.
He was signaling he's left-leaning. He was deciding that what you were doing was representing the patriarchy, or you were representing male dominant structures that he was saying that are not correct.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't even that. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, but it wasn't even that it was left-leaning. I've talked to reasonable left-leaning people. It was built right into his attitude, and so it made me a little testier than I might have been, which was my strategic error. And, you know, you asked earlier, well, why do I get pilloried with some regularity? Yes. And some of it is probably my own inadequacy. You know, it's...
Yo, I love how he constantly speaks about how he's not perfect, like he make mistakes. In any interview he made mistaken, unless he's talking about it, he always said, okay, in that interview I might have, did this, I might have did that.
He's a very humble person.
Exactly. He knows that he's not know everything. That he always points out what mistakes he made and how he could, get better.
He doesn't put on that what's the word I'm trying to say? I
don't know, you haven't studied.
That persona?
Persona?
Persona,
yeah, persona that he's perfect or he knows everything.
That he's the smartest person or the most perfect person in the world. He doesn't like to...
like you said, he's humble.
Because, like, he knows he's human.
Yeah.
And even if you could have the highest IQ in the world and still sound like an idiot sometimes, so...
So he knows that he made mistakes. I like how he talk about it. Yeah,
It isn't that I've handled all the opportunities that I've had perfectly, you know, and I can get hot under the collar. It's a mistake. It's a mistake because the right approach in these situations is to use minimal necessary force and to allow myself to get irritated, let's say, even minorly, when I'm faced with someone who's doing this, is not productive, doesn't work well. And so I really need to keep that under control. And when I do keep it under control, it works better.
The makeup one was particularly annoying to me because I think it's a valid conversation. It's an interesting conversation.
I said, and they didn't put this in their initial cut, I said, I'm not saying that women shouldn't be allowed to wear makeup in the workplace. I said
know.
that explicitly.
Well, that was why
But-
people were so angry when they saw the full version of it. I mean, the full version was released. Someone leaked it, right? Someone who felt like you were being misrepresented and that the editing was unjust decided to leak it, and people were absolutely furious.
Yeah, well, I think the Vice people actually released it, but other people took the full release and clipped it with the clipped release and showed how it was being misrepresented.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, but so okay, so the makeup thing, it's like, all right, look, here's the first of all, I make a mistake sometimes in treating journalists like I would treat my graduate students. So when I'm having a conversation with my students and we say, well, here's a problem.
It's an intellectual exercise.
A sexual behavior. How do we regulate? What are the norms around sexual behavior in the workplace? So that's the question. It's a question. We don't know. Okay, here's a bunch of possibilities, possible rules, right? No flirting, no hugging, no eye contact for more than 5 seconds. That's Netflix, right? No hugging. That's
that
NBC.
what they have?
Damn right.
They have no.
That's crazy. No eye contact for more than what? What? No eye contact? The no hugging thing I can understand, but no eye contact for more than 5 minutes. No, that's too much. That's too sexy. You look at me all sexually, you know.
Remember, Walmart, don't show your sexy shoulders.
I don't know. Maybe it's not like a lot of places. I don't know, but the eye contact thing seemed to me that's way overboard.
Your shoulders are too sexy.
The hugging thing I can understand, but eye contact for more than a certain amount of time, that's crazy to me.
They could make sexual eye motions. You don't know. Make love to the camera.
So when I'm talking to somebody, I can't look them in the eyes or sexual harassment. Stop it.
He's harassing me. He's looking me in the eyes.
That's good
For more than 5 seconds. That's Netflix, right? No hugging. That's
that what they
NBC.
have?
Damn right.
They have no eye contact
For more than 5 seconds. That's right.
Holy shit!
NBC. No hugging.
Was that real?
It's real.
Who the fuck? What if you're having a conversation with a woman who's your boss and she's asking you questions about things?
Then you look down every 5
Oh,
seconds.
fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yes, it's real. It's real.
That's so bad. That's
Yes.
such a terrible idea.
Yes, it's it's a terrible idea.
But there's
Okay.
a lot of women that I'm friends with that I've never had any sexual interest at all, and we look at
That's
each
what
other
you
in
say.
the eye.
That's what you say. But you're a potential rapist, and you're a
Oh,
manifestation.
Christ.
Yes, you
I
get the
look
whole
like one,
picture.
right?
Yes, you get the whole picture. So if you have a discussion, you say, well, look, what are the rules governing sexual behavior in the workplace? Okay, can you come to work in a negligee? No. How about boxers if you're a man? No. Okay, so there's
What
some.
about a short skirt?
Well, this is the thing. The devil's in the bloody details, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can't come to work naked. You can't come to work in boxer shorts. You can come to work in a suit. Okay, so the line is somewhere between boxers and suit. Where exactly is the line? Exactly.
No one
Can a
knows.
man wear shorts?
Damn commercials. That's cool.
Well,
If he
that-
can't,
look, the
why
way-
can a woman wear a dress?
The way that men in professional organizations, the way that men solved this problem was that everyone wore a uniform. And a uniform makes you uniform. That's why you wear it. And
That's crazy. I've never thought about it like that. Have you?
It makes sense.
A uniform makes you uniform because we all dress the same. That's crazy.
It makes
I've
sense.
never once thought about it.
CVS
like
has the
that.
red polo collar shirts with the little
Yeah, I
CVS
wish a
logo on
woman
the
has
heart.
that. A lot of people have the uniform.
Walmart has the best.
Exactly. What I'm saying is, I've never thought about it as like uniform. Like it's crazy. It makes you I'm geeking out over words, but yeah, that's crazy. Not to about it like that.
the uniform is the suit. And it's a derivation of military garb. And so the idea was, well, we want to get rid of excess
Variables.
diversity,
Right.
in clothing. Wear your damn suit. Then we know you're playing the game and we don't have to be distracted by what you're wearing. Okay, so that's what men did. Okay, so now women come into the workspace. It's like, what do they do? Well, there's business professional dress, right? And there's some rules around that. But what are the rules exactly? Exactly. And I was thinking, well, we're worried about sexual misbehavior in the workplace. You can't look at someone for more than 5 seconds. You can't give them a hug. Okay, what about makeup? Do we have a discussion about makeup? Oh, well, no, we can't have a discussion about that. It's like, well, is makeup sexual signaling? It's like, well, if you're an evolutionary biologist, the question, is makeup sexual signaling? That's not even a question. It's like, Well, obviously that's what it is.
That's why that conversation was frustrating, because he was saying, because they want to do it, they want to wear it, they want to look good.
Well, and maybe
like, what does that even mean?
Well,
but why do they do it? And that's
exactly.
the question I asked. We really should have waited to the other one before this. We really should have. But I think the question is, why did they do it? You know what I mean? There's gotta be a reason.
I think we saw a clip of it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, in one of the
greatest
compilations.
comebacks.
That's why it
Sounds
familiar to
familiar.
me. Yeah.
Saying, because they want to do it, they want to wear it, they want to look good.
Well, and maybe
like, what does that even mean?
Well, that's
That
right.
line.
Right.
That's right. What does that eat? But
What does
he
that
wouldn't
mean?
think. Well, everyone knows what that means,
Well, no,
Joe.
he has to say that.
No,
he has to say that because in his tribe, you have to communicate that way,
Well,
right?
he
like,
also
this is
thinks
what's
he
implied.
knew. Women wear makeup because they want to look good.
But do,
okay,
but
buddy,
do you
what do you
think
mean
he's
by
doing
good?
that because that's his take, or because he's trying to rile you up,
Oh,
like
both.
you're getting riled up right now?
Both.
As a journalist, it's kind of his idea or his job to challenge you in some way, and at the very least, offer the devil's advocate opinion.
Sure.
Like, explain yourself better. Why shouldn't they wear makeup? They just want to look good. You need to explain yourself better. Why are you saying there's something
but the
wrong
way
with
he
makeup?
did it was like, oh, Dr. Peterson, it's obvious what it means for them to look good. It's like everyone knows that.
Do you think
it's like,
that
well,
he
I
felt
don't know it.
like perhaps like he was intellectually sparring with you and he was being aggressive about it?
I think he felt that. I think he felt that it was necessary to challenge me, that was his role as a journalist. But fundamentally, he was smug. He thought he came at the entire conversation with an air of intellectual condescension. It was built right into the discussion right from the beginning, and he never dropped it at all. It's like, well, I know what you're doing, and I know what's up, and I know how to take you apart, and I know that whatever you're talking about is just an attempt to defend your
How long
actually
did you guys
reprehensible
talk for?
opinions. Oh, God, about an hour, something like that.
And how much did they use?
Oh, in the clips, hardly any of it. I don't even know, a couple of minutes. So, yeah.
It's kind of hard in hour-long conversations when you're trying to edit it to like a few minutes. It's like you miss like an entire setup.
Crucial details.
Exactly. To understand the conversation, you gotta understand how the conversation came about. What was the initial question that was asked? What was what I mean?
It happens a lot.
You miss a
Even
lot.
It happens in interviews. It happens in news medias. It happens to Trump a lot. It happened because there's a lot of interviews and news broadcasts that aren't live, that are hour long or hours long, and then it's up to that station where it's going to be aired to edit it. And just like any station, channel, whatever, when you put something out on TV, you want to put something that's going to capture the audience, whether it's for news or a TV show or whatever. So you're going to want to put things in there that are juicy, that are hot, that are like,
controversial, like to get people to be like, oh my God, and talk about
God,
exactly.
So of course they're going to cut out the context sometimes, because the context is not going to get people to do that. If the people have the context, then they're going to be like, oh, that's understandable.
That makes sense.
But if they don't have the context, then they're going to be like, how dare he?
Exactly.
So,
let's continue.
I don't even know, a couple of minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah, so your tendency to get riled up can be exploited.
Yes, of course, and it's the problem of deviating from the doctrine of minimal necessary force. Like the best interactions I've had with contentious journalists is where I've absolutely kept my cool, But and
like Kathy Newman.
Yes, exactly. And
so what you're saying is,
well, that's what he was like.
Yeah,
it's like, I know who you are, and I know you're covering it up. It's like,
yeah, well, it's these concepts. These are complex situations when you find men and women who are sexually attracted to each other and they're working in confined environments for long periods of time, and they essentially spend more time with the people they work with than they do with their lovers and their wives and their husbands, and
that's crazy. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, that happens.
it's also why a lot of people that are married or dating are from people that they met through work.
And a lot of people cheat on their spouses with people at work.
Yeah.
So you spend so much time with that person. Over time, if you build a relationship, you might be a friendship at
And
first.
that's where like the
you know what I
joke
mean?
comes.
Then it slowly becomes something more.
That's where the joke comes from. My work husband or my work wife.
Yeah, because let's say you're a friend at work and you're having like a fight with your spouse at home. You come to work and it's like oh they are happy together.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier for you to
Mm-hmm. And also, you talk to them about these things too. They know about your home life because you're talking about it at work. Like you make a relationship with these people that you work with. They become more than just your coworkers.
They become friends.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, spend more time with the people they work with than they do with their lovers and their wives and their husbands and. It's weird, Men and women interacting with each other in closed-in boxes is weird. And that's what an office is. It's a closed-in box. They're all together, and if they find each other attractive and they're interacting with each other socially, especially if there's any interaction that deviates outside of the work discussion, they start talking about different things.
You also don't want them to find each other unattractive.
Right.
Like if you're taking someone out for dinner, on a business dinner, it's like even if it's guys going out together, let's say. It's not like they're working to find each other unattractive, and I don't mean sexually. You want to manifest yourself as attractive.
You want to enjoy each other's company.
Yes, you do, and you want to be charismatic, and you want to be witty, and all of those things. And that shades, especially when you add, assuming a heterosexual environment, you add a heterosexual component to that, the borders become fuzzy. And so I was talking about border conditions.
Yes.
I said, well, if we're going to have a conversation about this, let's talk about the border conditions. Oh, no, we can't do that. It's like, I thought that's the discussion you guys wanted.
Why do you continue to agree to have these conversations that are going to be edited?
Oh, well, that's a good question.
The Jim Jeffries one was another one. Jim's a friend of mine. But, I mean, he gave you a good question, and you actually gave a good answer. You said, actually, I'm probably wrong about that.
Yeah.
When you were talking about whether or not gay people whether someone should be forced to bake a cake for gay people.
Yeah.
And you said forced to, probably not. And they said, well, what if they don't want to bake a cake for black people?
Yeah.
And he said, well, actually, they probably should be forced to.
Yeah, well,
I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, well, I was probably wrong in everything I did in that part of the discussion because I hadn't thought that issue through enough to actually give a good answer.
You didn't expect that issue because this is not something you talk about commonly.
No, and it's actually complicated, right? I mean, obviously, the whole "I won't serve you because you're black" thing is not good. But then again, you also have the right to choose who you're going to affiliate with. But then that's complicated because it's a commercial circumstance. And then if you're making a cake, is that the same as serving or is that compelled speech? It's like, oh my God, these are border cases that cause a lot of controversy.
Before you continues, see, I've always says this. I like how Joe and Peterson breaks things down because if you access to like a random person, to them it's a simple decision. Because it's all based on emotion or like their one thought, version of the question, scenario, right? But him, he breaks it down into it's like pieces, and then you like, it's actually not as simple as you thought it was. Because the black and the gay thing, it's like black. Most people would say no, right? But then with the gay thing, you're like, well, you have religious freedom, right? But then you have that like you're in a commercial environment where you shouldn't you shouldn't refuse people business, right? So it gets complicated.
It's sticky, yeah.
Exactly. So I like how actually it opens my mind too because a lot of things he talks about, I never think of them in this complex of a way.
Yeah.
But the way he breaks it down, I'm like, oh shit, it's actually more complex than I thought it was.
It's a human instinct and reaction to think about just your side of the situation.
Exactly.
Think of how you would feel in this situation. It's much harder for yourself to take yourself out of the equation and look at it as an outside perspective, like you're floating in the air and looking down on it. And when you do that, you see all the different pieces of the puzzle, and you see that it's a lot more complicated than you originally think. Like
for example, for a gay person, unfortunately, it's simple. Oh yeah, you should always say, some people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're gay, straight, or whatever. But for someone who's religious, they might also say, I have religious rights. I can choose to do whatever I want, and it's my business. You know what I mean? But then it's like because if you took the two different parts by themselves, it's so like closed in and like so, one-sided.
Yeah. It
just feels right to you. But when you, like you said, when you come out and look at the whole thing, because it's complicated.
Yep. And it's not. And it's a lot of people look at it and they think that this person is just being objective towards them and throwing hate their way. They don't necessarily hate you.
Yeah.
They are probably just as confused about the situation as you are because of the fact that they want to stand for their religion, but they also want to run a business, and they value you as a person and as a customer, and they don't want to lose you as a valuable person and customer. But at the same time, they are true to their religious beliefs and they're true to their family. So it's like.
But let's say if you're the gay person, would you be thinking about that?
No, that's what I'm
Because you'd be
saying.
on emotions. Exactly.
Yeah, so all you're thinking about is, oh, this person is homophobic, but
Exactly.
you don't know what's going on up here either.
And also vice versa too. So it's not.
Speech. It's like, oh my God, these are border cases that cause a lot of controversy. I don't mean serving black people, obviously, that's not a border case. But these cases that cause a lot of controversy is where two principles are at odds, and it isn't exactly clear where to draw the line. And I'm not happy with, my answer to that, but I hadn't spent the week it would take to think through the issue and really have a comprehensive perspective on it.
And you didn't expect that to be a subject anyway.
No.
How long did you talk to Jim for?
Oh, I think about 45 minutes, maybe an hour,
And
quite a
they
long time.
used
Oh,
2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, my daughter has told me, and my wife as well, my son as well, in these discussions, we've been thinking about how to handle the media, which is, oh God, a very complicated question. And one hypothesis being, don't do interviews that will be edited. And I've thought about that and been thinking about it, and that might be the right answer. It might be the right answer going forward.
I think it is the right answer.
Well, it could easily be. Although
it's the only way you can't be misrepresented.
True.
Because all of the problems that I've seen with you, all of them, come from you being edited.
Yes.
I mean, there's complex subjects that people would disagree with you on, but when you look at complete mischaracterizations of your point, these have been established because of editing.
Yes. Well, I guess the only counter argument is this, and I mean, a lot of these opportunities come. I've had opportunities that are coming at me at a rate that doesn't allow me to think them through as much as I could optimally. But then there's another thing, which is, it isn't necessarily a mistake to lay yourself open to attack. Because sometimes it reveals the motives of the attackers. Like that's what happened in the Kathy Newman interview. Now, that could have gone really sideways. Like I was lucky there to some degree because she interviewed me for 40 minutes or whatever, and something like that. And then they did chop it down to 7 minutes or 3 minutes, and it was exactly what you'd expect. And that is what I expected after I walked away from the interview. I thought, oh my God, they're just going to chop this into reprehensible segments and pillory me. But I walked away from it because there was 50 other things to do. But then it was so funny because they did do that, and then they put up the whole interview. And the reason they put up the whole interview was because they thought the interview went fine. It isn't that they knew that was going to cause commotion. Not at all. Not a bit. Not a bit. And I know this for a fact. So they put up the whole interview, and then, well, what happened was what was actually happening revealed itself. And that was very, very effective. Now, having that happen meant that I had exposed myself to substantial stress and risk, because that was stressful. I mean, first of all, there was the interview. Second, afterwards, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get pilloried for that. Then they did release the cut. Then they released the whole thing. Then there was all this response to it. And then the Newman people, who were absolutely flabbergasted by the negative response, said, oh, Peterson has unleashed his army of trolls and poor Kathy had to go into hiding. It's like, there's no evidence of any credible threats. They said they called in the police, but you can do that without there being reason. You can just say that, which is what they said. They played a victim narrative instantly, although one thing Kathy Newman is not, even though she might play it at the behest of her employers, is a victim.
Yeah, you can see that in an interview. She's not a victim. Like, you can clearly see that in an interview.
And to go back to what Joe and Jordan Peterson's family was saying about how to just have interviews when they're not edited, that's very hard for Jordan Peterson, because in any conversation Jordan Peterson has, you know it's going to be at least 40 minutes to hour-long conversations. And a lot of these interviews that they release they're not able to release those many hours. You
Maybe
know what I
you should
mean?
only do podcast. But
So-
on the podcast, you list the whole thing.
And I also like his point in the fact that when you have these interviews, whether they get into edited or not, and you lay yourself out there open, as long as you, like he said, keep composure and are true to yourself and to your stance that you're taking, the true intent of the person interviewing you is going to be laid out, or the person talking to you is going to be shown.
Or I should get an example of the Kathy Newman one.
Yeah, but
Or-
that's true in any
or
stance,
tomorrow.
to be honest, because like I can sit here fighting with you about something, and if you are calm and collected and I'm still going wild at it, at the end of the conversation, you're gonna find out my true intention of why I'm going wild at it, right?
Yeah. Or you're going to look bad because I'm so calm and you're going wild.
Exactly. Either way.
Mm.
So.
I mean, with the thing, I think it probably should maybe only do podcast, but then I feel like that's gonna limit his, because the reason he got famous, I think, is because people misinterpret his thing, and then like they put it out, and then people investigate, and they find out that it wasn't really what happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like that kind of find out what really happened thing, because that's one of the reasons he got so big. So
and it opens people's eyes to how
the media
can disinterpret things.
Can misinterpret things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what the right answer is. It's his decision if you want to do that or not. But
Yeah, that at the end of the day, that's his decision.
Yeah.
He's the one that's putting himself out
exactly,
there.
not me. So
Exactly.
Is what they said. They played a victim narrative instantly, although one thing Kathy Newman is not, even though she might play it at the behest of her employers, is a victim. She's one of the most powerful people in Britain. She's no victim. So to play the victim card in a situation like that is absolutely reprehensible. But that's what they did. And then like a dozen newspapers did it and said, well, Peterson's trolls are attacking poor Kathy. And I thought, oh, now I'm really screwed.
You don't own your fans.
Well,
the idea that people that are interested in the things that you have to say, that you have control over them, like you can give them marching orders, is foolish. And
well,
you're not
it's
the
also
person
foolish.
that does that.
Well, and how many million people do there have to be before they're not all trolls?
Yeah.
Because that was the real issue there. It's like, okay, 10,000 people commented on the video. Trolls. Okay, what about 150,000? Well, what about 10 million? Well, now if you look at the video, which is about 10 million, plus all the clips, it's like 50 million. And the comments, the comments that are critical with regards to Kathy Newman's conduct are running about 50 to 1. So that's all trolls, is it? I don't think so.
It's preposterous. That narrative's preposterous.
But you see, that was a good example of taking the risk.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's justified, and I think that it's very, very stressful. But you take the good, you take the bad along with the good, and maybe it's time for me. It might be time for me just to disappear to some degree altogether.
oh nah, bro.
No.
Don't disappear.
I
Don't
do.
disappear.
It is a lot of strain on him, though.
Yeah, it is.
Like he has to. He must have a really great mental state, because putting yourself out there to begin with, that open, that exposed, knowing that these people don't have true intent to what you're saying, may edit everything to make you look bad, but still have the guts to go and speak on things that you truly believe in.
That's called brave.
For the fraction of that you might help a select few people out there in the world, it takes a toll on you.
Exactly. That's
You know? And also trying to keep your composure against people that you have every right to get angry and pissed off at or curse out if you wanted to, is extremely hard for the mental being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's brave that he's able to do that, because he's, like I said, he's let himself out so people can attack, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's taking that risk. And the thing with like how he was saying like how the people were trolls. It's like if like so many people are saying like Kathy Newman, was wrong for what she did. They all can't be trolls. It's like, how many trolls do you think there are? You know what I mean? Are you saying all his fans are trolls? And the other thing is blaming him for the actions of people that he haven't even met. It's
that
like,
happens a lot. Like if you
what?
That's the one thing that a lot of famous people have in common. They get blamed for the actions of their fans.
Because if he doesn't incite violence, if he doesn't say go out and do this thing, it's like he's not
even
responsible for what
exactly.
they do. Because people have their own minds, their own thoughts. He's not responsible for the millions of fans I'm pretty sure he has. Some fans are crazy. They're gonna do crazy stuff. And you have to look at what Jordan Peterson says, you know. Look at the whole video, the whole context, and what he preaches, what he says, and then you can judge him based on that. But not based on people he haven't even met.
And you have to know that he's doing this for other people. He's not doing it for himself. Because he could stop any time. Like you said, he could go into hiding, or he could just do podcasts like you said. But he puts himself out there because of the fact that he wants to help the world. He wants to have these conversations. He wants to make the world better in some way or form. He thinks the more we talk about things, the more brilliant minds get involved, the more we could find an outcome to solve major issues like global warming, like intolerance and stuff like that. That's why he speaks on these things and makes you think outside of the box on these things. It's not for his own selfish intent, because if that was the case, he would have only cared about his mental health and was like, I'm done, I'm good, because this is just not good for me. I'm getting too angry and stressed out all the time.
And
you know?
multiple times he actually cried about how, you know, when he made fans and the fans said, you changed my life for the better. You can see how it really affects him in a positive way, that he's able to help people. And that's also one of the reasons that he continues to do these things.
Exactly.
Because he knows there's somebody out there who can actually change their life for the positive if he does his own interviews. You know what I mean? And you know, and I appreciate it, man. He's, you know, not everybody is willing to do that, because I'm pretty sure now he get enough money that he can just retire if he wanted to. Yeah. But he chooses to still put.
And to be honest, it's much older for older people. It's much harder for older people to do that. The older you get, the less patience you have, the more likely you are for your emotions to overcome you. Like, I see it all the time.
Like grumpy old man, you know?
Well, we see it all the time. We live in Boca and we work in retail. So when you work in retail and you live in a city that's mostly older people, you tend to see likeness like that some older people have. And a lot of time they say whatever's on their mind. They're over emotional, or their mental health isn't as strong as it was. So for him to be able to still do this as he's getting up there in age,
it takes a toll on him.
It takes a toll.
Yeah.
And it's him saying, I don't care that I'm getting this beat up, because I want the world to know these things. I want the world to talk about these things with me. If I'm able to help one person, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
You know?
I think enough said.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
This was a good video. I like Joe Rogan too. He likes to get to the bottom of things and the truth.
Maybe we should do some Joe Rogan ones.
Yeah, we did another one of him.
Yeah, but usually it's from Jordan Peterson, right?
Joe Rogan, and I think it was Bill Burr.
Oh yeah. I'm saying like him. He's talking with some interesting people. Yeah, we have a lot of interesting people in his podcast.
Yeah, but in his podcast, it's all about.
I think it's on Spotify now, right? So I don't know how that's gonna work, but I don't know.
We could look into it.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, man, Jordan Peterson. Next time.